Hey everybody, I'm Brian Wolfe.
And I'm Nick Wolfe. And this is Stephanie. And we're going to do some body painting today. The first thing you do when you, if you want to start a really good body painting, is you get a very, very petite model. That way you get a much more detail on a smaller canvas in very less time. And since we're on a time limit budget today, we got a nice petite model. Stephanie?
Another good point of body painting. If you want to get a really nice body painting done, get a partner. And if you can, get a partner that's better than you.
So the first thing I like to do is the breast, because then it makes the model feel a little less self-conscious. Go. I also like using these sponges. Basically, these are half wedge pottery sponges. When it comes before we get to them, they're uncut and it's a full circle. This wedge-shaped sponge is very great for doing broad strokes. You can do thin lines with the edge. You can use the corner and do little tiny spots. You can do a stipple pattern. You can gently rake it across for striated hair effects. But if you really got to cover it, this thing's going to work really fast. Now, Brian and I are doing a fantasy sci-fi suit of armor today, and we're going to be doing a monochromatic color scheme. Monochromatic, of course, means one color, and that color was white. And as all you makeup fans know, black is the absence of color. It's not actually technically a color, although Brian's daughter insists that is her favorite color. But that's okay, she's only 9. So I'm using this water-based theatrical makeup, and I'm just going to take my sponge and dip the very corner of the sponge, just breaking the surface of the water, and stir it around on top of my water-based makeup cake until I got a nice, smooth, creamy consistency. And a lot of times I can tell when you're using water-based makeup if I've got the right consistency to cover properly. If I can see like lines on the cake. If you're mixing it up like this and you see like little tiny bubbles in there, then it's probably pretty wet. And you could definitely use the makeup, but it's gonna have like a more of a wash consistency. So I just keep rubbing on top until I see these slightly striated patterns in the makeup. And then I know I've got the consistency I want for proper coverage. Brian, why don't you tell them a little bit about what you're doing?
Well, I'm doing some white. I'm going to do these armor sections here. And I kind of sketched out a little bit of what I kind of planned on doing here so that I have a better idea of what I wanted to get done. It's a pretty good idea to have a little plan going. I don't every time, but I get them done faster if I at least sketch out a little bit of what I want to do. I don't necessarily follow the picture exactly every time, but again, you got a little idea of what you want to do. It can go on a lot easier, a lot smoother. And I'm trying to get this base done pretty quickly, and I'm not really worried about you know what the consistency of my base coat is, just because I know after doing some highlighting and some shading that you know I don't have to worry about my base coat. So if it's a little streaky, if it's a little blotchy or whatever, I can fix that later. when I go in to do my detail work. If you have, if it's all streaky or blotchy in the end, or that if your colors don't fade into each other nicely, then the overall piece, you'll be able to tell. The second probably would be line work, making sure all my line work is nice and crisp, and nothing's half-assed. Nothing's like, I kind of wanted to do that there. No, I make sure everything is nice and sharp and deliberate. If it's sketchy at all, I try to fix it ASAP, because that really stands out. Third thing I noticed is composition. I want to have little details. I want to have big things. I also want to have little medium things. So from a distance, it looks good. From far away, it looks good.
Isn't that the same thing at distance is?
I mean, from a medium distance, it looks good. From far away, it looks good. From, let me see here. From, and up close, it looks good. I'm trying to get it looking best from all distances. So I'm gonna have big black blotches of color. I'm gonna have medium details, and I'm gonna have little tiny details. So the closer you get to it, the nicer it's gonna look, or it's gonna keep looking nice as close as that you get to it. Also,
Easy for you to say.
yeah, thanks. Also, as far as looking good far away, if you're gonna paint this mountain on some girl, and you're painting her face, and she's got this nice brook going across, and the sky and the sunset, and then this mountain going up on her face. From a distance, it's pretty much going to look like a brown beard in this case. But I try to add a lot of color to my pieces too, usually, because if yours is just black and white and mine's got a rainbow of colors, well, I think people would enjoy the rainbow a little bit better. So I try to make mine colorful, but we kind of picked this black and white thing first, so that doesn't really apply. Next
our
would be,
model has such colorful eyes, but because they're green, are they going to show up really weird against this green background? Is it going to disappear like that book did? Well, I guess we'll see. I guess it's up to the special effects and After Effects crew to make sure that it looks good.
let's see, what else?
What step were you on?
I'm on 3 or 4, something like that.
So let's talk about the model a little bit. Like rapport. I like to have a good rapport with my model. It's one of the things that make body painting so rewarding and so interesting. I've been painting on all kinds of canvases my whole life, and one of the greatest things about painting on people is they actually talk back to you. And so one of the very distinguishing feature of this art form. What am I talking about? These are all makeup artists I'm talking to, but I still think building your rapport with your model is very, very important. So feed your model. Make sure your model's got plenty of water. Make sure she's wearing something that she's comfortable in. There's a few different ways that you can do body painting. I've not only will it smooth everything out, but it also is a great surface to paint on, and just as good as skin. So now here's an area that you normally you're not able to get a lot of detail on, because obviously there's already a lot of detail going on down there. But with the Pro Shield 2, as I believe what they're called now, it will definitely expand your horizons in painting that department. Another tip that I would use for body painting is the order that you paint everything. Since this one's going to be pretty fast, we're going to kind of ignore some of those, but we usually leave the face for last, and that allows your model to eat and drink and talk and everything without worrying about messing up her face. We leave her butt last for obvious reasons, and we leave the palms of her hands last too, so she can handle her food or drink or door handles or whatever, because once you paint the hands, you're going to get it everywhere pretty much no matter what kind of makeup you use. So you save your hands, bottom, and face for last. But old Steph here is an old pro, so we're going to have no problem just painting everything as fast as we can go.
Actually, this is Steph's first time.
All right, now I've got another good example here. Here you noticed my model is bent her elbow and kind of screwed up this white part here. So basically, all you have to do is grab a baby wipe. And gently remove the screwed up area, and then gently remind your model, wait till this is dry before you bend your elbow. See that? And I'll wait till Brian comes back around with the white to fix it.
Yeah, I like to paint when I'm competing. I like to paint in the fourth dimension, which is like painting, well, I just call it that. It's not really painting the fourth dimension, but I like painting like pictures within pictures. If you can paint, a teapot, nice, but if you can paint, someone's reflection in the teapot, ooh, even cooler. Or if it's
like optical illusions.
Yeah.
Well, what about subject matter? Me personally, I like painting things that are not necessarily happy, but definitely not sad.
Things that make me happy, like subject matter that I really like. That always, my best body paints are the ones that I painted something that I liked,
Right. Well, if you're doing this for
with your strength,
any kind of competition, yeah, that's definitely a point. But even something you feel strongly about isn't necessarily going to award you the most points, because you got to think about the judges. All right, now next thing I'm going to do is switch my tools here. I'm going to a number 6 round brush. This is actually one of my weapons of choice, where I can get in much more fine lines, much more details, and I can also spread it out and get and get some more details in here, like the belly button, which I'm sure is going to be her favorite part. Now, like I said before, it is important to keep your model hydrated and fed, and but it's also important for your model to be very vocal too. You want to make sure she's keeping her knees bent, because there's some phenomenon where if you lock your knees for a really long time, you can faint, and you don't want your model fainting. So, like I said before, now I'm taking my number 6 round brush and cleaning up these lines. I use the sponge. You can get a pretty straight line with the sponge, but not as straight as you can with this brush. So we try to get all the bulk out of the way first, and then finish up the sharp lines with this number 6 brush.
How you doing there, Steph? And in there, good.
See how Brian asked Stephanie how she was doing? He really does care. But it's a good idea to do even if you don't care. So now to take care of this dead air here, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different products you can use. It all works.
Right, my favorite body paint is free. Second favorite would be discount. Third would be inexpensive.
Cheap? Not cheap, inexpensive. But there's lots of places that you can find some good body paint.
And lots of different brands too. If you can notice, I got a really opaque black here. It's going to be a little harder to wash off than, let's say, I don't know, some other brands that are not as
to
black.
wash off?
Yeah. Well, it's all about what you want. Do you want it to wash off a little easier at the end of the day? Are you painting at a little kid's birthday party or something?
Right, the good news is it's really hard to get off, but the bad news is it's really hard to get off. But you can pretty much go online. Bless these days where you can go on the internet and Google face paint, and you pretty much get your education about it, about anything on the internet these days. But if you Google face paint, you can find there's a lot of awesome companies that sell face paint, and there's a lot of awesome companies that sell multiple brands of face paint. I think my favorite website like that is called sillyfarm.com, and they sell pretty much every type of makeup, and they have free shipping. The paint I'm using right now is called Diamond Effects. And that's a company out of the Netherlands, I believe Rotterdam, Netherlands, possibly. Great paint, one of those companies that gets their paint made in China. So it's not very expensive, but it has a lot of pigmentation. That's the most expensive component of these makeups. You know, it doesn't have all the filler, and that's why it is so killer. Can you tell me and everybody else out there in TV land, how did you get into body painting? How were you introduced to this wonderful world?
Well, we were face painting at Universal Studios, and this lady asked Nick while he was painting her daughter's face like a unicorn, "Do you guys ever do body painting?" So I got some girls I need painted like wild cats. To which Nick said, yes, we do body painting.
All the time.
All the time. And we'll do it really inexpensive for like...
$100 a girl.
Sure. She went perfect. That's just what I need.
Oh, I get it. Great cats. They were perfect.
He was lying, of course, but I don't know.
Oh, great cat's lying. Good one.
But like, just like every job I've ever had, I kind of talked my way into it. I had a little less experience than I led on to believe, and then just faked my way through it. So then we went in there and we were face painting already. So then we did our best, and I don't know, they had never been body painted before, so they were thrilled with our work and had us come back over again and again and again.
So right now, the technique, can I turn it for just a second?
Yeah, actually.
See, I got this flat brush now, and I'm just taking this this brush and pulling these lines down. I got some black mixed with white, or with gray on top of this big white cake, and I'm just sticking the brush in here and just kind of pulling out and flicking it out to give it a little bit of shading. The camera is going to wash out this white, and of course when they adjust the color, the black's also going to get push back. So when I do body paint, I'm trying to make this over the top contrast in my painting. Once again, so it'll look good from far away as well.
But that's why I say, you know, body painting, it's hard to make a living doing it because it just, you know, a lot of people consider it adult entertainment. Depends on where you are. So, yeah, face painting, absolutely. Body painting, a little tougher.
Couldn't you bust out your kit, make a few kids happy and smile? Because really, isn't that our jobs? Aren't we the smile makers? Even the regular makeup artists, well, pretty much the ones that are watching this this movie, this TV show, there really isn't a whole lot of difference. But like, I make pretty kids ugly, whereas you make people pretty. And but basically what you're doing is you're making people happy. You are fighting the good fight. You are the smile makers of the world. That's really our job, is making people smile. As you see now, here's another technique I'm doing, dry brushing. I barely got any makeup on my brush. It's very, very, very dry. But that way I can go and do really light shadows. But because I have this flat brush, I can still keep it pretty crisp. And because this armor is all white, I want to give it as much texture and depth as I can to make it. It leaves us a little bit to be desired, but I'll go with that.